Welcome to 2026. It's been a pretty hard ride into 2026 from the speed of the end of the year and what was going on in the world and at home. And I was in the garden this morning, which is not a natural habitat for me, I have to say, but what I was reflecting on was really the hard work of politics and the hard work of gardening and the similarities between the two. We have a world at the moment that really needs some tending to. Trust in our institutions continues to decline, and that requires hard and considered work in what we do. It's the hard yards. It's thinking about what's the long-term gain here that we're trying to achieve. But I was thinking too while I was in the garden about how heavy everything feels at the moment, right? So we had the Bondi attack on the Jewish community before Christmas, which was an awful, unimaginable way for us to lead into that Christmas period. We have had, in fact, I can't even list them all, right? So we've got what's going on in Iran, we've got what continues to go on in Gaza and Ukraine. We have got what's happened with Venezuela and then in Minnesota and actually the United States in general. The world is just an extraordinarily difficult place to fathom at the moment. And then again at home, as I said, we had the Bondi attack. We have had a continued unstable climate. So we have had fires, we've had flash flooding in Victoria in the last 24 hours. It's weird and wild. Adelaide Writers Festival as well. Oh my goodness. And all of what's going on with this, I think, for me, feels heavy and exhausting and is very much at the heart of it around how we conduct ourselves in public life and in community life, how we have conversations, how we protect and promote the right to gather, how we protect and promote the right to freedom of speech and freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom to actually have the tough conversations, but to stay in those conversations and to actually listen carefully and deeply to find ways through and forward. I don't know about you, but I am exhausted by the outrage in politics. I'm exhausted by snap decisions. I'm exhausted by rushed and crazy and ridiculous rhetoric on things. I'm exhausted by slogans. I actually want calm. I want calm and considered and compassionate politics that understands what's going on for human beings, that understands what we need and understands that we're here for lifetimes beyond us as well. We actually want to build better futures for us now and for those who come after us. And legislation, when we put bills through Parliament, should always be considered in that way. We should always be considering what are the consequences of this decision? What are the unintended consequences that we might be creating here? And a bit that really concerns me this week is we have a bill that conflates stuff about gun buyback and hate speech, which I can't even fathom how we decided that those two things should be in one bill. So both of those are incredibly complex, critical pieces of considered policy that require consultation with different communities, that require us to stop and think carefully about what we actually want to create here and what might be the unintended consequences of this. That requires us to pause, not be hasty. Pause and think about what's actually needed here, what's needed for the long term. And this is who we are as Australians, right? We are about fairness. We are about better outcomes. We are about looking after one another, actually. And if we can't look at proposed legislation in this way and carefully think about, is this the right thing for us right now as a community? Will this take us forward or will this take us backwards? Will this help to build trust in our institutions? Will this help create better and deeper conversations in our community, or will it actually stifle conversations and have people feel silenced in a way that might be incredibly unhelpful at this time right now? So I'm really concerned at the moment by what I'm seeing in both major parties, where there is a haste and an outrage on both sides and a rush to get things done in a way that's not calm and considered and compassionate. I just want us to stop and have the conversations that are required to move us forward in a better way. And if I then think back to, because I want to go back out to the garden in a minute, I want to go back to let's just pause and do that hard yards work. Let's think about the long term in terms of what we're creating and do the tending to the garden that's vitally important, tending to our institutions to continue to build strength. They're not perfect. Perfect institutions don't exist. They actually require thoughtful and considered and continued improvement to tweak and change so that we are building trust rather than eroding it. That's the work that is required in politics right now, and I urge all of those elected officials to stop and think about what their roles are in either building trust in our institutions or continuing to erode it. And actually I want them to look after themselves as human beings as well, because they can't do the hard work of looking after us as a country and looking after their communities if they're not doing that work on themselves as well. So I'm going to go back out to the garden. I hope that everyone who watches this to this end, which is a long video, sorry, but please look after yourselves. It's been a really hard start to the year, a really heavy start to the year. And I don't know about you, but I have had to kind of double down on all of the things that I do to look after my mental well-being in order to navigate through this and to feel okay, to just keep going. So let's keep having the conversations, let's keep looking after ourselves and for one another and the community, and let's find a better way forward together.